Hello and welcome to this course. And today we'll be discussing a very important topic, how to prevent our children from depression and anxiety. Now, it's very sad that even though the world is evolving, things are getting better, technology is advancing, we are getting more educated, and everything, our parents have become more supportive. In spite of so many things, our children, the depression and anxiety in our children has actually gone up statistically. And I'll also be sharing a few statistics with you in today's call. So I'm going to share with you many things. And even though I'll be talking about children, I'll tell you that this is what we need to do for our children. Understand all of us are also like kids, and all of these principles and ideas that I'll be sharing with you will also apply to you. So if you feel that you're feeling low, you're feeling anxious, you're getting those palpitations, or you're slipping into depression, it's also important that you use these ideas for yourself. So let me show you what is it that we'll be discussing today. Let me fold this. Yes. So today we'll be learning, I'm going to share with you some statistics, then the effects of depression and anxiety. What is the effect? Then depression according to the age group, like what age group is experiencing maximum depression. Then I'll share with you which are the 10 most depressed countries. Three mental states of any person. What should we do? When does the feeling of depression start? Two types of brains. How do we understand the survival brain is activated? Eight purposes of life, eight main purposes of life. And then, of course, like always, I have a few action steps for you. Now, there's a lot that we'll be covering. So, see if you have a nice glass of water, like a bottle of water or a cup of fresh tea, just like me, in front of you. And I want you to try and do this in one sitting, if possible. If not, maximum, you can watch half right now and half later. Right? So, it's going to go on for 1.5 hours. So, be mentally prepared. I'm going to not make it cognitively very heavy for you. It'll be simple, easy things to understand, but I want you to watch this properly. So now let me share with you a few numbers, statistics. So the first thing is 1 out of 4 children suffer from depression and anxiety. Then majority of suicides occur in the age group 14 to 18 years of age. So this is a very critical age, and the reason why this happens is because when our children are pre-teens, teenagers, they go through a lot of hormonal changes. They get attracted to children in the like the opposite gender, when they don't get that kind of attention, when they don't get that kind of understanding at home, they are more likely to take the wrong step. Then more than 10,000 students committed suicide in India in 2018. That's crazy. And this is just the reported numbers. I'm sure it's more, but this is what they were able to record and report. And according to NCRB, those of you who don't know NCRB, it's the National Crime Records Bureau. Suicide under the age group 18 saw an increase of 31%, which means children under the age group of under the age group of 18 started committing more, 31%. That's huge, which means out of 100, 31 more children are committing suicide. And this was reported between 2017 and 2021. And of course, this is a big, big crisis for the nation because our children are the main resource for the economy. And according to WHO, about 7.5% of Indian population suffers from some kind of mental illness, not just children. 7.5% of the Indian population, which is a huge number, is suffering from some sort of mental illness. It could be anything like anxiety, feeling low, and children are especially very vulnerable because they don't get the kind of support that they are looking for. And 50% of the mental illnesses start at the age of 14. So, if you're feeling what you're feeling right now, chances are the seeds were put in you much earlier. Maybe you didn't realize it, or maybe we didn't know of it, or we didn't understand it was happening. But these tendencies of feeling low, ill, sick, all of this usually starts when we are young. So how many of you think that, looking at these numbers, it's very important for us to educate ourselves as mothers so that we can do better for ourselves and for our children? If you think it's super important, put super important in the chat, or if you're watching this as a recording, put it in the comments. Super important. And that's exactly why I've shared numbers. I usually don't share too many numbers, but I thought it was important for us to know why is it so important. Because if we don't know the why, we don't take action. And only when we know the why, we are able to take things to the finish line. Now, what are the effects of depression and anxiety? Now, of course, there are many. And this is not an exhaustive list. Of course, there could be more. I'm sharing with you the important ones. First is emotional. Emotionally, they feel very lost. So it's basically you feel you're not able to express yourselves, you keep suppressing your emotions, and it can also affect the people that you're interacting with. So contagion, what does that mean? It's contagious, right? So if I'm feeling low and if I'm living with my husband, chances are my husband will also start to feel low. If you are feeling sad, then somebody else that you're living with will also start to feel sad. If your child is feeling sad, you will start to feel sad. So it's contagious. So that's something which is not good, because let's say if my child is feeling sad, I also start to feel, everybody is feeling sad, then how do you bring the child out of that sadness? Then, of course, strained relationships, because once you're slipping into that depression, anxiety, and all of that, you don't like to spend time with people, you don't want to meet people, you don't want to step out, you don't want to interact with your friends, you don't feel like getting ready, you just want to be with yourself in some room and just sit and cry and do what you're doing, you want to just sleep, and you just become very lazy and you become very inactive, you become very unproductive, and all of this will affect your relationship. Like, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, especially, when it's a little extreme. So a lot of husbands these days, earlier, I don't know what was the case because I was not doing coaching then. But these days, a lot of husbands have a lot of financial pressure and also a lot of expectations from themselves to do better, or to do better financially and to take better care of their families. And when they are not able to do it, they get into depression, anxiety, and all of those things. And all of this passes on to the wife. And then the whole husband wife relationship is completely stressed out. Like, I have a very good friend, and she was like, completely into this zone of feeling depressed, anxious, and all of that. And she had a love marriage. And because of the way she was, the husband was very nice, and they're still, like friends. But the husband was not able to live with her after a point. They had to, get a divorce. She got a divorce, and very nice guy, very nice girl. But the husband was like, I've lost 2 years of my life and I just can't afford to lose more. And I don't blame the boy, and neither do I blame the girl. But sometimes what happens is when you're in that zone and you're not choosing to do anything about yourself, and if your child is in that zone, then as a parent, you need to step in and you need to pull your child out of that zone, because it is going to affect all the other relationships that your child will have. And then, of course, there'll be an impact on the classroom dynamics. The teachers will not be able to cope up with your child. Other friends will start to ignore your child, or they'll make fun. Bullying will happen. They might not, they might call him snobbish or call him or her snobbish, might not understand fully what the child is going through. Sometimes they might say a few things that are hurtful, which can again have an impact on your child. And again, this happens, because when you're depressed or when you're anxious, you're irritated, there are things that you tell or things that you say without really understanding what you're saying. The way you react sometimes can be very outrageous. And then, of course, your friends, no matter how good they are, if you're behaving weird, they would also have their own reactions. And those reactions can, in turn, make you feel more depressed, make the child feel more depressed. So, again, there'll be different classroom dynamics. And then social isolation, which means nobody wants to hang out with you. You don't want to hang out with anybody. You just feel very lonely. You just want to cut off from everybody. And you don't want to do the things that you usually do. And again, it's very difficult to live like that because we are all social beings. And then, of course, you start to get wrong thoughts. And sometimes you would do things that are, even you don't know of. Like, I'll share with you one instance where this person was in extreme depression and was so depressed and emotionally so high that your intelligence shuts down, right? And sometimes you will not even know that you become suicidal, in the sense that you're not in your senses, you don't want to take your life, but you're just doing these. You get up in your sleep and then you do some things to yourself. And this person woke up and was put himself on a stool and was trying to hang himself. Luckily, the stool, he fell from the stool, and he fell on the floor, and nothing happened. He got saved. He hurt his head, there was a little bleeding and all. And then his family came and they saw him doing what he was doing. He was trying to, and because he didn't have a rope or anything, he was using a towel. So he got saved. And when he came back to his senses, he had no idea that he had even attempted to kill himself. So, how many of you think this is crazy? If you think this is crazy, put crazy. And this is a real story. I'm not making this up. Right? So, understand that you have to take care of yourself at the wellness level, which means you have to tell yourself that, I deserve a better life. You have to take care of your child at the initial stages. You cannot just keep pushing your child into it. And sometimes you're pushing because you're not even aware of what's happening in your child's world. We don't even know what's happening. Let me give you another child example. So these days, a lot of this one was also on the newspaper. One boy, he committed suicide because he liked a girl, and that girl started dating his best friend. Now, no, when the parents were investigated, the parents did not even know that the child liked anybody. And understand, why would somebody commit suicide if somebody leaves you? When their sense of self-worth, their sense of self-esteem is so low. And where will that come from? It has to come from home, right? It has to come from the parents. The parents have to make you understand that, at the right age, you need to have these kind of conversations with your children. So if you have a preteen teen, in fact, if you have a 10-year-old child, you can already start to have these conversations. Then maybe you like a girl, but maybe she will like somebody else. But that doesn't mean that you're not worthy. It still means that you're amazing. It just means that you will get somebody better. So then if something like that happens to your child is already prepared. Your child already knows how to deal with it. But if your child has never experienced a heartbreak, has never experienced like this, something like this in the past, has no idea to deal with it, very scared to come and share this with the parents, because he's scared that if my parents find out that I was with a girl, they'll have a problem with that. Then they do silly things and they do things on their own. They take the full thing on themselves, that I'll have to do what I have to do now. I can't talk to my parents about it. I can't talk to anybody about it. My best friend also I can't talk to, because now my best friend is with my girlfriend. And for kids, again, we did this topic on cyber safety. So those of you who've not gone through it, please make sure you go through it. Again, there was this girl, she falls in love with a boy on the internet, never really seen the guy, only pictures. She doesn't even know who's the real person behind that face. Gives all her savings to this person, only to find out later that this person was a fraud. And then again, she's on that verge of, taking her life. And these are all like real. There's one about exam pressure, the parents forcing the child to study, and this daughter takes her life. I think this was a Bangalore story only. And then both the parents were in the hospital, or just the mother, I think. So the idea is that you have to be very careful about the way you're dealing with your child. Do not put stress and unnecessary pressure on your child just for some number on the mark sheet. Every child is unique, every child has their own journey. I'm not saying that just let them be, let them do what they are doing. You can try to speak with them, you can try your best to do what you feel is the better thing for you, but don't force them to do things like ye subject lena padega, yehi karna padega. You can't do this, you can't do that, you have to sit like this, you have to sit like that, you don't do this, you don't do that. No, you can correct your child. There's nothing wrong, because if you don't correct, who else will? Please correct your child. Please discipline. I shared, right? A better way to show your child how to live a better life, a better way, not by making themselves feel small about themselves, not by making somebody feel less. You can never improve a person by making the person feel less about who he is or who she is. If you agree with this, put agree. That if you, the only way to help somebody feel better is by telling them that, hey, you can do better. And what I do with you all the time, right? I never tell you that you can't do it, you can't be on time, you'll never be able to do this. No, and I don't even feel like that. I don't even think like that, because I truly believe you can do whatever it is that you want. And because I believe in you, you have started to believe in yourself. And now you're actually taking action, you're getting the results that you're getting. Just like that, you have to believe in your child, you have to trust your child, and you have to tell your child that I believe in you, I trust you completely. How many of you heard that Einstein's story? There are two, three stories. Okay, let me tell you one story from Einstein. So, there was some competition or something where everybody had to speak and stuff. So, all the kids were talking and stuff. Einstein was not talking. And then somebody from the audience said that, this child will not do anything in life. He's not even talking, he's not even sharing and everything. And Einstein's mother, she gets very agitated, she gets furious. And she says, maybe you're not noticing. Maybe other children are having fun, maybe other children are talking. But my child is busy thinking. My child is thinking right now. So my child is maybe going to become like one of the best professors. I can see that and you can't see that. And then, of course, all of us know that Einstein became a very big, he became a big professor. And then he wrote to his mother. And he said, you said it, and that's why I became what I became. So, as a mother, we have to put a lot of faith in our children. We have to trust them. We have to believe in them. We have to take care of them. We just cannot, like, be ki, haan, theek hai. Then Thomas Edison, he was thrown out of school. Teacher said, your child is not fit to learn. Can't do anything. We can't take care of your child. Please. He changed like 5, 6 schools. And the mother said that, you're too good for the school. You're so brilliant that even the school people cannot, manage your intelligence. So they think that you're better on your own. And then we know what he did, right? Light bulbs. Imagine living in a room full of darkness. It's only because of him that, we have full light and all those things that we have now. So the idea is, for us to be in that zone. And then development of codependency. So, of course, what happens is, as mothers, as parents, uh, our heart will always be with our children. And when we see our children in that zone, when we see my child is not feeling good, my child is feeling low, my child is not feeling happy, we tend to cling on to them, right? We feel like, okay, now I just have to be with my child. I can't leave my child alone. My child is very sad. I just need to be there for my child. And then what happens is you become like there for them, and it almost becomes like, uh, can't live independently. It's like you're codependent now. And you also, because anything you do for too long, it just becomes a habit. So if you're getting used to doing a lot of things for your child, always being there for your child and stuff, then it's very difficult for you to do other things. You'll not even you think that you're missing out on the fun, you're missing out, but you'll not be able to have fun. How many of you can understand what I'm sharing? If you can understand, put understand. And it happened with me once. So when I started this whole coaching thing, not I'll not say that I was depressed or anything, but I was very restless. Like I was working so much that I was not able to take a break. And when I took a break, I felt like there's so much to do. So even when I was on a break, it wasn't really a break. So my mind was always thinking about work. So it never, I was not feeling relaxed. Like the only time I was feeling relaxed was when I was working. But the minute I left my work, I used to feel very disoriented. If, like, my husband is putting a movie for me, I'm not able to concentrate on the movie. So anything in excess is not good. It becomes, even work, they say, you're addicted to your work. That also is not good. Workaholic. Not good. Anything in excess, even water in excess is not good. So again, if you do too much for your child also, it's not good, because then you'll not be able to do it. I'll share with you another example. So there's this friend of mine, she's had a child, and now the child is almost 9 months old. And just last week, for the first time in 9 months, she stepped out for 1 hour. If you think this is crazy, put C for crazy in the chat box. She's not able to leave the child. Or even, just imagine what the husband is going through. Not gone out anywhere with the husband, not done anything for herself, and very, very independent girl, financially independent, great entrepreneurial brain, super successful, all of those things. But suddenly everything has changed after the child. She's become so dependent, and she just, even if she's outside, in that 1 hour also, 3 to 4 times she wanted to go back to her child. She's like, let's go back, let's go back. Not able to stay away for even like 1 hour, 2 hours. So you don't want to do, even, love in excess can be irritating sometimes. It can be, right? So you just want to do things in moderation. So these are 5 things that like our children experience, we experience. Now let me share with you depression according to age group. So at the age of 60, 12% chances of depression, which is high, but not very high. But at the age of 18 to 29, 22% chances of depression. It's much higher. So when we are younger, we are more likely to get depressed. Why? Because, we have so many hopes, goals, aspirations, this, that. But by the time you're 60 and all, of course, there are different reasons for being depressed. Like, nobody sits with me, nobody wants to spend time with me, and that company and all of that. But when you're 18, 29, you have all the reasons. So this age group, you want to be even more careful of, doing things that will not allow you to get into this zone of depression, anxiety, and all of that. Now, let me share with you 10 most depressed countries. So, overall, according to this, there's some, I'm forgetting the name. So, there's this list that comes out, and every year for the depressed countries. So, the most depressed is overall China. Then, on second number is India. Third, US. and fourth is Russia. And it keeps changing every year, but I'm sharing for you for the current year. This is for overall. Now, for depression is India number one, China number two, US number three, Indonesia number four. Alcohol and drugs. So this overall is depression plus alcohol plus drugs, right? And only alcohol and drugs is number one China, number two India, number three US, and number four Russia. So if you see, India is on number one for depression and number two for overall and alcohol and drugs. So, we need to do something to come out of it. And that's exactly what we are doing together. Like, we are choosing not to live this life and we are choosing not to transfer this to our children. And, I feel now even in my signature, I've started putting mom energy equals world energy because I truly stand for it. Like, I love this thing that came to me that, your energy as a mother is deciding the world energy. So if we have to, get rid of this depression and all, the mother's energy has to shift. Otherwise, it cannot happen. If you agree, put agree in the comments. That if we have to get rid of depression, then we have to, because if the mother is feeling lively, if the mother is confident, if the mother is courageous, she's able to transfer these things to her child. And then you will not experience it in your child, you will not experience it in yourself, and then the whole generation starts to improve. But if we are not setting boundaries, we are feeling less, we are not feeling good, we are crying, we are struggling, we are feeling stuck, we are feeling miserable, and we are feeling all of those emotions, then it's natural that, unknowingly or knowingly, we will transfer these things to our children in some way. Because children, when they come to this world, they are like blank canvas, tabula rasa. Whatever they build, the way they feel and what they become is because of the experiences that they go through. Then three mental states of any person. First, expression, which is the best stage, right? You want to express whatever you're feeling. So you want to say, things like, you want to allow your child to express. Don't say things like, don't cry, don't talk so loudly. Why do you why are you always shouting? Why are you always jumping? Behave yourself. No, we say these things. And because we say these things, our children are not able to express themselves fully. Your child has a lot of energy, your child wants to jump. Let your child jump. What's the problem? Maybe it's getting irritating for you, you change your location. Don't cry so much. Don't talk so loudly. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't shake your legs. Don't move your hand. Don't fidget so much. Stop whining. These things we have to stop saying, because understand, our children are expressing themselves, and if you stop these things, your child will become like a robot. And we just say it as a passing comment because we are irritated and there's so much to do and this and that, but you just cannot. Because if you do this, then your child starts to suppress. Now your child is not able. I'll give you an example from my life, just happened yesterday. So today is Saturday, so as I record this, so no school. And yesterday my husband had gone for a party for his previous workspace. They had some 10th year anniversary and all of that. And my child was like so happy because my husband is the strict one between the two of us. So he was like, oh wow, Papa's gone. Let's watch a movie together. Let's have some popcorn. Tomorrow I have no school. Let's turn this into a fun movie night. This, that. And for a moment I felt that, I'm with a different child, honestly. And it's not like my husband and him don't get along. They get along pretty well. In fact, most of the activities they do together. But I'm just telling you how children think. Like if my husband were at home, he would have never proposed the idea of a movie because he was sure that would reject ho jata. But because I was there, then we actually sat and we watched Charlie and the Chocolate Factory till 10:30. So after this call, inner circle, I had an inner circle call. So after the inner circle call, I sat and I watched that whole movie with him. Forwarded a bit in the between, and we wrapped it up by 10:30 and made some popcorn and stuff. And so he was fully able to express himself yesterday. He was sitting and we made like a cozy den for himself. He got some cushions and he put some blanket, made a small tent in the living room. And he was doing all those things. You like, I'll place my milk here, I'll place. So he was just like, in that whole lively, full energy turned the whole living room into a camp. And it was like, we are camping and watching a movie. So he was able to express himself fully because he knew that okay, I was also looking at him and I was getting so fascinated. I just didn't feel like stopping him. So like okay, fine, let's do it. So he was able to express himself fully. But sometimes they're not able to do it, and they start to suppress. And if the suppression will continue for too long, it will turn into depression. So these are three mental states of a person. You're either being able to express. If you're not expressing, you're by default suppressing. And if you suppress for too long, you might not be aware of it, but it will start to turn into depression. Also happens to us, right? When we get married, there are certain things we don't want to do, but we are not able to express ourselves, and we keep doing it and we keep suppressing. Let me do it, let me do it. Okay, I have to do it, let me do it. And then it turns into depression. I'll share with you another story. There are so many stories. So there's this lady, not lady, a young girl, okay, and she got married. Very good family, super rich, everything very good. Spent a lot on the wedding. She gets married, and then the husband was a total disaster. It was an arranged marriage, and didn't go well. And again, very financially independent. She had her own jewelry business before she got married and stuff. And then after she got married, it was a total disaster because the husband did not let her do anything properly. She became like a puppet, and she came from a good house, so she was trying to adjust. She wanted her in-laws to feel good. She was from that school of thought that बड़ों की बात माननी चाहिए. We should do what they want us to do. So she was wanting to respect her elders. She wanted them to love her and those things. She didn't tell her parents anything because she thought they will be sad if they get to know what she's going through. So she kept suppressing herself for 6 7 months. Then after 6 7 months, when she goes back to her house, and then obviously as parents you can tell whether your child is happy or not happy. So they could tell that she's not really happy, and she looked pale and stuff. And of course, as a parent, it's very difficult to see your child like that. So they could tell, but they were not sure. They were just guessing. And then one day she started getting fits. Her body started acting weird and she fainted and stuff. And luckily, she was at her own place. And then she was taken to the doctor. And then, obviously, they asked her a lot of questions. And then a psychologist and a counselor, all of those people were involved. And then she started opening up about what she had been going through. And it was a case of acute depression. And then the parents refused to send her back, and now they are, I think, filing for divorce and stuff. But understand that if you are suppressing for too long, it is going to affect not just your mental emotional health, but eventually it will affect your physical health also. Like in her case, she started fainting and all of that. And there's another example, and I'm giving you these examples because stories we all remember, and all of this are real stories. I'm not making this up. There's this thing called silent suicide. I don't know if you know of it, where you don't realize, but because of the stress that you're taking, And because of the way you're thinking about yourself or about your experiences, internal organs start to fail. So your internal organs, and if you see people who are depressed, some people will actually look at a person and they can tell that you're not, because the color of the skin will become very bluish. Why do you turn blue? Because your heart is not functioning properly, so the blood flow in your body is not smooth. And that's why you turn pale, you start looking dark, you have dark under eyes, and your whole body will look very darkish because the blood flow is not very good. So, she's taking a lot of depression because she's separated from the love of her life and he cheated on her or something like that. And then all her internal organs stopped working. She's not able to breathe, the blood flow stopped, and then she checked out. So that's why, doing these simple things like writing gratitude, connecting yourself with something bigger, having a bigger purpose, bigger mission in life, something that makes you feel that, yes, my life is worthy, is so important. Where you are not feeling that I'm alone, nobody cares, I'm good for nothing. Those kind of thoughts actually make us feel what we feel. Right? So these are three mental states, right? And I'll just give you an example. Like if you're holding a book in your hand for 2 minutes, nothing will happen. But if you're holding it for too long, your hand will start to pain. So let's say if you put a book on your hand, let me see. Yeah. So if I put this on my hand, for 2 minutes I can easily be like this. But if you ask me to be like this for 1 hour, 2 hours, this part will start to pain, this part will start to pain, my hand will start to hurt, right? So by the way, this is a great book. If you want, you can read this. Zen. I love it. And I love the way they've done the inside also. It's very simple. I always keep it. It's got some 100 chapters. No, yeah. More than that, I think. Yeah, 100. And very short story, like short ideas. So you can just run, open and read one. So again, just the idea is to not hold on to your emotions for too long because it might lead to mental coma. It's going to create a lot of pain. And that's why I say, whenever you're feeling something, just connect with somebody. Don't allow yourself to keep it inside yourself for too long. Just call somebody, message somebody, connect with anybody. Doesn't have to be me all the time. It can be a captain, super leader, any other mother that you resonate with. The idea is not to go through it on your own. Like some of you, I'm not going to take your name. Some of you are like, sending messages that I'm suicidal, this and that. Just connect. Just talk to somebody. There's no problem in feeling what you're feeling as long as you're not choosing to honor it. You're choosing to feel something else. I'm aware that I'm feeling like this, but I choose not to stay with this feeling for too long. I choose to do better because I deserve better, and more than me, my child deserves better. So now you're not just living your life, you're living your life also for your child. So these are three mental states, and all of us want to be at the stage of expression. So put expression in the chat box if you're going to fully express yourself and if you're going to allow your child the space to express. No problem with crying. Let me tell you that. When mothers come to me and tell me my child is crying a lot, I tell them, yes, good, you're doing good parenting. Because if your child is not crying, it means you've not given your child the space to even cry. That's how they express in the beginning. What's the problem with crying? We also cry. Even at this age, we cry. Imagine if you're feeling like crying and somebody is coming and telling you, chup ho jao. क्यों रो रहे हो? You're feeling low, you're crying, and your husband comes and tells you this, chup ho jao. Stop crying. Too much is too much. I can't deal with this anymore. If you keep crying like this, I'll go to some other place. This is what some of us do as mothers to our children. You have to stop doing this. Now, what should we do? It's a choice, right? So, you can actually choose to stick with your positive emotions, or you can choose to create a lot of negative emotions. The idea is to replace the negative with the positive. You cannot delete the negative. Our mind will throw both at us. There'll be positive and there'll be negative. But you have to make the positive so strong that the negative seems insignificant. So anytime something will come to my mind, I'll be like, I'm divinely protected. God is protecting me. God is guiding me. God is doing the best for me. All good things are coming to me. I love myself. I like myself. I trust myself. I believe in myself, and that is enough. So, of course, when you try something new, you try something challenging, you will feel a little sense of uneasiness, you'll feel a little discomfort, you'll feel a little sense of discomfort, you'll feel scared. It's good. All of these feelings are good. Why? Because you're stepping out of your comfort zone. But in that moment, you activate the positive in you. I always tell myself, God has a plan, and that's why God has brought me so far. If He didn't have a plan for me, I would not be at this, whatever I have come so far. So if I've come so far, I'm going to do my best, and I'm sure God has a better plan for me. So anytime you fail at something, I fail a lot of times, I fail at a lot of things that I try, and that's okay. Because if you're not failing, it means you're not even trying anything new. You're just going on doing what you've been doing for forever. So I fail, and that's okay. But when I fail, I start to think about all the good things I have done. I don't sit and think about my failure. I always think that, I started with zero. And if I made zero something, that's okay. But I've also made so much. So what if I made zero someday? So whenever you fail or whenever you're not able to achieve something, think about all the things you have achieved. And whenever you achieve big things, just be relaxed. Don't have to feel overexcited. Also celebrate it, but calmly. And the idea is to stay in that state of equanimity, which means don't get too excited with your success. Don't feel too bad with your failures. Just be normal. Because this is a cycle. If you are succeeding, there will be failure. If you are failing, there will be success. So you have to be ready for everything. You just can't be like बस success ही होते जाए मेरे लाइफ में. कभी नहीं होने वाला. कोई के साथ नहीं होता है. All of you know Oprah Winfrey. She made so much losses after she became so rich. Donald Trump lost everything. But again, it's your confidence that you need. And he said that, if I lost it, I was the person who made it. So if I made it once, I can make it again. That's the trust you need in yourself. So choose the positive. So whenever things go wrong, instead of thinking about what went wrong and what you are feeling because of because of the failure, you start and make a list of everything that went right. Make a list of everything good that happened for you or happened to you or something good that somebody did for you. Then two types of brain. This is very important, right? So the first brain is the survival brain, and then the second is the learning brain, right? Now the survival brain is basically your freeze, flight, and fight response. So every time there is a danger, this will get activated and it's either going to make you freeze in the spot. So sometimes when children are getting bullied, this is what happens to them. They don't know what to do because the bully is so overwhelming and trying to attack and all. They don't know what to do, they just freeze. Sometimes they fight. and sometimes they run away. Also, when we were living in the jungles, wild animal, sometimes you get so scared you don't know what to do, you just stand there and you freeze. Sometimes if you feel you have too much courage, you fight that animal, and sometimes you run away from it. So the survival brain and then the learning brain. Now, when you're feeling depressed or anxious and low life condition, now I'm going to tell you why does the intelligence stop. I've been telling you this equation, right? When emotions go high, intelligence goes low. Now, why does that happen? Because when you're running high on emotions, your survival brain is activated too much and it is attacking the learning brain. So you're not able to learn properly. So children who are feeling depressed, anxious, not well taken care of, always being, scolded, their learning brain is not functioning well. And that's why their grades, their performance in school, all of this is very poor. Why? Because now they are in that whole zone of, giving up. So they don't want to learn, they don't want to understand anything, the memory becomes weak. And same for us, right? When you're feeling emotionally low, you don't feel like learning, you don't feel like talking. Why? Because you have to understand that your learning brain has been attacked. And now your survival brain is making you either freeze, which means you freeze and you sit in your room, or you start to fight, which means you start to fight with other people. You get irritated, angry, frustrated, you start becoming bitter, start shouting at other people, or you flight as in you run away from the situation. You're like, मैं घर छोड़ के चली जाऊंगी, I don't want to stay here, I want to take my life. Are all of you understanding? If you're understanding, put yes in the comments. So this is what happens, right? We either freeze, we stop doing anything, we are just in our room, lying down on the bed, crying, self-pity, in the victim energy, or we start fighting with everybody about every small thing, or we just run away from, we want to run away. Like, I don't want to be with this person, I want a divorce right now. I don't want to stay with this family. I want to leave this house right now. And then it happens because your learning brain is not working, you're not thinking properly, and your survival brain is only capable of making you do these three things. So depending on the level of the experience and depending on how you're able to cope up with it, you're going to do one of these three things. So next time when you catch yourself doing one of these three things, you have to tell yourself, I don't want to. And next time if you see your child doing one of these three things, you have to understand that your child is not feeling fine. The learning brain is not working and it's the survival brain. So you have to create more happy memories for your child, happy experiences for your child. You have to build a connection with your child so that the learning brain takes over and the survival brain shuts down. And I'll be sharing with you what is it that we need to do. So at more, like, our aim is to keep the learning brain activated and the survival brain, at you want to switch off your survival brain basically. So now, how do we understand that for my child is the learning brain activated or the survival brain activated? How do you tell by looking at your child? There are two things. Very simple, I made it because there are more things, but these are two main things: food and mood. Food and mood. So which means if you see that your child is not is not eating what your child usually does, you're putting your child's favorite sabzi and your child is still not wanting to eat it, and you suddenly see the appetite has really gone down, doesn't want to eat anything. Let's say you're giving your ice cream to your child, also your child is not showing interest. It's a sign that your child is getting into that emotional bubble kind of a place where he's just not able to appreciate anything anymore. And then mood swings. Like, of course, now don't think like, if your child is getting angry or stubborn, sometimes your child is depressed. That's not what it means. It means like extreme mood swings, like, sometimes very happy and suddenly something you tell your child and something will happen. Mostly you see this in preteens and teenagers. Gets irritated very easily. So again, the mood. And same for us, right? We are good, calm, and suddenly somebody will come say one thing, the mood will go. And with depressed people, there's like a switch. There are a few things that will make that switch go on, and they'll get into that whole spiral. Otherwise, they'll be okay. But one thing will happen, and then they'll get into it, and they'll not be able to come out of it. So you also want to identify what is it that sometimes we say a few things and then our children get like that, become like that. What is it that you said before the mood changed, basically? So you want to get aware of these changes in the mood and food cycle. You'll also start to see withdrawal symptoms. Your child will not want to meet his friends, will want to be lonely, will want to be in the room. Where there are guests at home, they don't want to come out, they don't want to spend time with anybody. And if you see this symptoms continue for too long, it is an indication that this is something that is leading the child into depression. And even though I say child, it's the same for us, like food and mood. I'll share with you, like, 8 years back when I was in that zone, didn't feel like eating anything. I didn't feel like going out. Like, Sizzler is my favorite thing. I remember my husband asked me that you want to go for Sizzler. I said no. So, it was just like nothing, didn't want to speak with anybody, didn't want to meet friends, didn't want to get ready. All I could think about was having a child. In the video, because after my first child, the child, before I had Veer, and then after Veer also another string, because that whole thing continued. It wasn't like I had recovered or anything. And after that also, it was just like completely off, feeling irritated, didn't feel like yeah, I don't know, like, don't feel like doing anything, basically. You just start to look like your life looks like a mess. And when I looked into the mirror, I was not able to identify myself completely. And I was like, who is this girl in the mirror? This is definitely not me. And you don't even feel like looking at yourself in the mirror. Like, you're like completely, I don't know how, you're just in a different world. And the idea is to not stay in that world for too long. It's not a very good place to hang out for too long. So you want to make a choice that, hey, I know I've entered this world, but this world is not the world I belong to. I belong to a better place. I'm meant for greater things. I'm meant for something bigger. I'm meant for something better. And that this decision you have to take. You have to make that decision. Nobody else can make that decision for you. So you have to decide that, yes, I can do better, I deserve better, I want to do better for my child, I want to do better for my family. I don't want to be this girl, I don't want to see this girl that I see in the mirror anymore. So those things will come from you, for you, it will come from within. And you have to honor what's coming. If you're just stuck and you choose to stay stuck, then even God cannot help you. Because, like, God helps those who help themselves. But if you're choosing not to help yourself, then no matter how many opportunities come your way, even God cannot do too much. Right? So now I'm going to give you something powerful, 8 main purposes of life. Right? Now, if you have all 8, fantastic. Or you have to create this for your child also. So let's say if you don't want your child to get into depression, mostly our children right now, they are not depressed, anxious. In case you feel that your child is, then you need to use these things, right? So you want to create one of these, well, not one, 2 to 3 at least, main purposes for your child. Your child should have this as a part of their life, or even you as a mother should have this as a part of your life. Now, what are these 8 things? Let me share with you. If you have, just keep identifying what is it that you have and what is it that is missing from your life. So, first is protection. All right. So, first is you should feel protected, and you should be able to protect other people around you. So back in the days when we were living in the jungles, this was also a major thing. Like, imagine you're sleeping and you have no idea tomorrow you'll be alive or not, because some wild animal can come and attack you. So you're always having that fear, anxiety in you. You feel protected. Sometimes when I talk do these one-on-one coaching, some wives, they don't feel safe in their own home because of the abuse that they go through. So they are very scared of being in that house. So you're not even feeling protected. So if you're not feeling protected and safe in your environment, then of course, it can lead to depression, anxiety, suffering, pain, and those things. Then provide. We also slip into depression when we feel that we need to provide and meet other people's expectations, but we are not able to do so. So, let's say if your child is feeling that my mom will feel happy if I get 90 or above 90 in my school for my school grades, but your child is not able to get it, and maybe your child has worked for it. So, your child might feel depressed, anxious, stuck, and your child might feel that, right? So you don't want to set those expectations that I'll be happy if you get 90. No, I'll be happy if you work hard. I'm a happy mother if you're trying your best. 60i, 70i, 80i, 100i, 90i, don't tell them that I'll only be happy if you get 85 and above. I'm always happy with you. No matter what, I'm always going to be with you. And sometimes, these days, like I shared, husbands are getting into depression because they feel they're not able to meet all those needs of the family. Wife wants to go for an international trip, husband is not able to take her. There's financial problem. So again, don't put pressure on like yourself or anybody for delivering on somebody else's expectations also. Do your best. Like, this is what I can do. That's it. So the idea is not to take pressure for providing. Sometimes we feel that I'm not doing the best for my child. And now you're in the platinum, so you're feeling that okay, I'm doing better for my child, I'm learning every day. And that's why you're feeling more confident. You feel like you're providing your child with what your child deserves. You're providing yourself with what your soul deserves, and automatically you start to feel better about your life. Put better in the comments if you agree with this, that now that I'm learning, I feel that yeah, I have some things that help me grow. I'm able to do better for my child, I'm able to do better for myself. And that's one reason, once you plug into this learning system, you don't feel depressed and anxious very often unless you're choosing not to learn. Then explore. So we always want to explore new things, especially the young generation. They don't always want to follow what everybody else is doing. So maybe parents are into some job, child wants to be a dancer. You have to respect there. She wants to explore a new career option for herself. Maybe parents are entrepreneurs into business. Child wants to be in some MNC working for some bank or some World Bank. Doesn't want to be a part of the family business. That's completely okay. So we have to give them that freedom to explore, and the same thing we need for ourselves. We have to give ourselves the freedom to explore. So that's the third main purpose. Fourth, expand. We always want to expand. Nobody can stay happy by being exactly where you were 5 years back. I'm going to repeat this. You cannot be happy if you're not growing as a person. Let me share with you about my fashion business. So, I felt this about my fashion business. I was doing really well, right? My money, my bank balance, all of that was growing. But at a personal level, I was not growing at all. I'm nothing against the fashion business, but I'm just telling you that it was the same thing every day. I'm going, I'm talking to karigars, I'm getting outfits made. And in fact, at one point, I started feeling that I've become worse than where I started at a personal level. Why? Because I was feeling irritated. अगर fitting ठीक नहीं आ रहा है, then delivery dates are coming close, the outfit is not ready, having to convince the master to make it, having to lie to the customer that hey, your outfit is almost done when I know that the cutting has also not happened. So, I was not expanding at all. I was not able to think like I wanted to think. I was not able to contribute and serve the way I would want to. So, even though the money was great, I was not feeling too fulfilled. I was not expanding at all. In fact, I felt I was shrinking. Right? So, the idea is for us to also feel like every day I'm growing as a person, to expand, right? Then conquer. Everybody likes to win. So create a few small wins for your child. They want, like, don't always put them in activities which are very challenging for them. Do a mix. Put them in activities where you feel your child will definitely do well. That will improve their self worth, their self esteem, their confidence. And your child will feel that, oh wow, I'm good at this. This will give your child, like, for my son, very good at football, not so good in tennis. But imagine if I had only chosen tennis for him, then maybe his confidence would not be so amazing with sports. He would have felt that I'm not so good at sports. And because tennis, he's average. But football, he's good. So now, whenever I talk to you, like, yeah, football, I'm the best player. So what if tennis, I'm not the best? So, they'll have these tennis matches, and also he'll not be like the winner or anything. He'll be like, uh, third, fourth, or something like that in tennis. But because football, he'll do well. Whenever he loses in tennis, he's like, it's okay, tennis is not my sport. My sport is football. So, he's getting that confidence from there. So, always create some experiences for your child where your child feels like, yes, I'm a winner. Then create. All of us are creative beings. We love to create. So, let them create something. It can be anything. It can be a science project, it can be an artwork, it can be a painting, it can be some robotic thing, some electric thing. It can also be a plant that your child is planting. It can be anything basically, but they want to bake a cake. My nephew, he's very fond of baking. So he had gone for this summer school to Woodstock. It's in Missouri, I think. They have this summer school option for kids above 10 years of age. He was the first child, I think, to go under 10. They don't take under 10. He was 9.5, but they had an interview. He did really well in that interview. So, for one of his topics, he took baking. So, you want to allow your child out. Most Indian homes will be like boys baking and all of that. Have to be just like little open-minded and let your child create whatever your child is fond of. Right? So children want to create. Then teach. Children love to teach. So don't always keep teaching them. Let them teach you sometimes. You'll see elder children, like elder brother or elder sister, always trying to be like the boss and always trying to teach the younger one, do this, you're not supposed to put this here, you're not supposed to put this there. They get this rush. Even when you're like, when I barely sit with my child to, do school stuff. Now he does it on his own. But even when I did, when he was little, sometimes more than me teaching him, I used to make him teach me. I used to tell him, can you tell me what is this? Can you teach me this? Can you show me how this is done? Oh wow, you know this also. Can you tell me a little, can you tell me more about this? Let them do the teaching part. It becomes more fun for them. It becomes less pressure on you. And they also feel confident and they feel good. Then, of course, togetherness. Children love calm, peaceful environment where people want to stay together, do things together, where people have similar interests. So, let's say if your child has an interest, let's say cricket, like my son is interested in football, is interested in music. So, if anybody will talk to him about football, that person will become his favorite person. So if you go for a party, if there's anybody in the party hall who's into football and they'll start talking about football, my son will automatically just sit and chill with that person. So they want to be with people who share similar interest And of course, in an environment where people want to live together, stay together, happy thoughts. I'll share with you another example. So, again, this family of three children, and the first two daughters, when the first two daughters happened, the parents were fighting, but not so much. When the third child happened, the parents started fighting a lot. Like they were fighting like cats and dogs. And this small kid was noticing the parents every day. And this kid went into depression at a very young age of 2.5, 3, because of so much noise, shouting, anger, throwing objects. And now he's around 25, but he's still not been able to come out of it. Still, he'll not choose to go to college. He doesn't want a job. His life is like he's not able to come out of it because it's been with him for so long. And like they say, when the child is little, their subconscious is very active and they are like under hypnosis, so they absorb everything like sponge. And none of the kids are married. So and all of them are so amazing. Like when you meet, like when I meet them, they're so amazing, full of life. You can't tell, but there's so much happening inside of them. Just because of what they saw while they were growing up, they're still not able to commit to a relationship. So it's very important for us to, just not, even if there is something happening, don't allow it to pass on to don't pass it on to your child. Do it in private. If your husband is shouting, you stay calm for the sake of your child. Don't allow your ego to ruin everything. So, as mothers, we have to try and transfer at least four out of these eight purposes in our children. So, you want to identify what is it that is simpler, what is it that your child would like to adopt, and even for yourself, you want to have all this or at least four out of this for yourself. And then, why are you not like so many mothers, when we do platinum shares, they'll share that, now I'm no longer depressed, no longer going for therapies, no longer taking my medication, feeling good. Why? Because now you have a purpose. You're talking together, you're in this state of togetherness, good energy. When you're speaking to each other, you're teaching, you're learning, you're creating small wins for yourself. When you finish a course, when you get a certificate, when you get an award, you're creating those wins. The way your thinking is expanding, you're feeling protected. You feel that I'm no longer alone, I have people that I can reach out to. You're feeling supported, and there's no pressure on you to do something for someone. So if you see, we have actually used a lot of these elements in the platinum membership. If you're noticing that, put notice that a lot of this has gone and it's happened on its own. And because of this, now we are not feeling like depressed, anxious. So you want to create an environment like this for your child. And that's why, now I'm also giving access to kids who are above 12 years of age to come and learn these things. And this time, when we do the Black Friday, a lot of young teenagers are going to join. And I'm looking forward to that. If not, lot, at least a few. At least the mothers have messaged me. So we'll see what they do. Right? So you don't see that, if you don't have these main purposes in your life, that's when we get into this zone of depression, when we don't feel that we are needed, we don't feel that my life is useful or there's something good that I can do with my life or for others in my life. That's when we start to experience. So you want to try and see if you can do these things for your child and start from now. They don't have to be depressed for you to start. You can start even if your child is in a high life condition, your child is already feeling good, your child is doing good. Still create these things, because if it's already there in their life, they'll never get into that zone. So if you're going to do this, put yes in the comments that yes, I'm going to transfer these purposes to my child, and I'm going to also bring it in mind. I'm also going to do it for myself because I choose not to stay stuck. I choose to grow. I choose to feel better. right? Now, a few quick action steps. First, your top three learnings. So we will do this right now because I want you to identify. So we'll do this small exercise right now. If you're watching this as a recording, I want you to actually just let me put up a post. Yes. So I put this, yeah, I want all of you to share your top three learnings in the comment section under this post. So if you're watching it as a recording, I want you to put it under this video, right? So you can pause the video and share what your top three aha moments or your top three learnings were, or top three things that you're going to be experiencing or putting into action, not experiencing, but top three things that you'll be putting into action. I want you to share that. That's your first thing to do. So do it right now because it's very important. If you do not summarize your learnings, it will just be too scattered. It'll just go everywhere, and you'll probably not even realize what you're going to, what you've learned. So the idea for me to make you do this activity is for you to understand that I've learned so much, but from whatever I've learned, at least these three things I'm immediately going to put into action. Then second is, of course, meet up with a buddy and share everything that you have learned. So just discuss all the points and just talk to each other and share. And third is, what is that one big thing that you will start with today? What is that one big thing that you're going to start doing today? It could be connecting with your child. It can also be thinking of what is it that you're going to create, or maybe something that you're going to start creating with your child. Some things that you need to get rid of. Some, if you want to, if you're not feeling, if you're taking that pressure on yourself to provide and you want to let go of that, if you want to have a conversation with your child, which is, maybe you want to apologize for the past behavior, you want to do a restart, you want to do a fresh beginning and make your child experience things differently, you want to do that, then you start with that. So just get an idea about what is that one big action step that you're going to be taking, right? So with that, we come to the end of this course. I hope this was useful. I hope you're going to put this into action. I hope you're going to transfer these main purposes to your child, and trust me, this is all they need, because once they have this, they're unstoppable. Once they have a purpose, they're feeling protected, they feel that they're providing, they're needed, they are create in this mode of creation, giving, sharing, life becomes so much better. So thank you so much for sticking around till the end. It truly means that you're an action taker. I'm so proud of you. Keep learning, keep growing, keep doing this amazing thing that you're doing for yourself, your child, and your family. Super, super proud of you. This is Riddhi Devra, your parenting coach for life, always here to love you and always here to serve committed mothers like you. Thank you so much. Make sure you take action and you leave the comment. That's very, very important, because only then I know that you're a true action taker, and I'm going to personally read every single comment. So do that, and I'll catch you in a different course. Thank you.